Welcome.
I'm just going to keep my hands very close to
That
the
works.
camera. They look big.
Welcome to Get Valiant, everybody.
Woo, episode 135.
The big 135.
That's the one we've been pushing for, really.
You know, since day one, we were like, we just got to get to 135. We get to 135, then we know we've made it.
Yep, that's the one. We're back after a break, so that's cool.
Yeah. Fall break just started for my kids, but Get Valiant is getting off fall break right now.
Yeah.
We're back and going, and looks like we got some Bloodshot displays behind us, so shout out to our good old friend Greg over at Valiant.
Yep.
Yeah. I got the stand-up thing. I'm pretty stoked about it. I've been displaying some stuff on there, and super cool. I pulled down. I got a comic on the way that I'm going to want to display there, and then the other one I was displaying there is this one. But I just wanted to show it because it's so awesome. Kevin Van Hook drew Bloodshot for me, and I'm ridiculously stoked. He also drew Mike, which was really cool of him as well. But either way,
so that's on one of the. Is that one of the flip books? That Bloodshot sketch.
The 2012 with the A&A on the other side, I believe.
Man.
I only had this one, and I was going to leave it blank forever, but I figured if there was anybody I would want to draw on this rare blank cover that I have, it would be Kevin Van Hook. So I sent that one to him, and yeah. So I'm absolutely stoked about it. Like I said, he also drew. Long-time listeners might remember I had released a comic quite a while back, and just something myself published, and I made blank covers of that, and he drew on it. So that was really cool. Then he signed some stuff for me since I had to ship the stuff to him anyway. So yeah.
I have a question. How many sketch covers do you have of your character?
Of my character?
Like, how many have you had done?
So there's a local artist, Tim Arnie O'Neill, that did one for me. Another local artist, I believe his name was Charles Simpson, did one for me. I got Peter Krause, who I know him from working with Mark Waid on working with Mark Waid on Irredeemable and Insufferable. But yeah, Peter Krause did one for me. Now Kevin Van Hook. Those might be all of them.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, it's just really cool to have that and bring it up, and have an artist that I respect draw. So one of my I also got another local guy. So a bunch of local guys from the cons that I go to, because Minnesota cons we don't get a lot of the really big names. So I've just had the best artists I found, like Tim Arnie O'Neill, that Charles Simpson, and then Daniel Dahl is this artist from the Twin Cities area who has done his art is insane. So I had him do one.
And did you see your artist from your books, Bloodshot take that he recently posted on Valiant Fans?
Yeah, I saw he was doing Vin Diesel Bloodshot.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I saw that today. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is the artist that did the book that I self-published, that I wrote. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, his art is amazing. That guy's ridiculous. Yeah. I have a Bloodshot sketch cover from him. It's the second from the bottom behind me. I don't know if anybody can see that, but that's that same artist, Fred.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And hey guys, jump in on the live chat. We got some people. We got Scott in. We got Ryan Pond. So thanks for coming back, guys. And yeah, check us out on Facebook so you can see some of those. I know most of those are posted on our Facebook group, so check that out. But there was a lot going on. We missed 2 weeks, but there was New York Comic Con, so a lot happened. And one of the things I think all of us are pretty excited for is that dang Vin Diesel statue that they revealed at New York Comic Con.
We're finally getting an action figure, and I absolutely had to pre-order it right away when it
Yeah, that thing looks great. I only have a minor complaint in that I don't like his knife too much, and I wish he had his sword. But holy shit! Finally, we get one. It looks like it's in really good, like a really good, I don't know, sculpt of it, or whatever you want to say. Like the casting, the modeling of it is really good. It looks just like Vin Diesel, which. Yeah. If you guys didn't know, he's gonna be Bloodshot. You know, it seemed like a lot of people were kind of like weird about it, like where they're like, "Oh, he's got no hair." Like,
oh, it looks just like Vin Diesel. Why does it look so much like?
He's got no hair. Like, what were you thinking?
I hope they don't do like everybody's pissed off with Superman, right? With the CGI'd mustache taken away. At least we're not CGIing hair on him.
Oh man, and you know the thing is that mustache thing is so bad in Justice League. Like it just really stands out. But yeah, look at that. I mean, the action figure looks great. You know, he's got a big gun. It's gonna have really good points of articulation. It's gonna have cool accessories. There's his knife. It's got a little stand, so you can just sit. You can sit that thing down. It looks rad. It really does look rad. I mean, I think that's what we expected it to look like. I mean, I guess some people thought there would be hair. Also, another image that you're showing in our live chat, those little chibi statues, they look rad. They look really cool.
I didn't expect to like them, but I did.
They turned out, like, honestly, the original pictures we saw of them, I wasn't super stoked on. I was like, they're not the worst thing ever, but they're also not great. And now having seen them in those pictures from New York Comic Con, they're pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, I was looking at them and I thought, man, if I can maybe just get, like, the Shadow Man one or Bloodshot. I mean, they all look cool, but I have to be a little bit of a realist sometimes. I can't just get everything I want. Even when my focus is just Valiant. Like right now, like the last year or so, I only really buy Valiant anything. And I'm just like, if they're not expensive, I can try and get them all, but I don't know if I'll be able to. I hope to. Especially, but I mean, like for me, like Bloodshot and Shadow Man, they look awesome.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised they didn't do Exo Manowar though, which is weird to me because Exo ends up being the flagship character to many Valiant fans. And I'm surprised that they weren't like, throw Exo in, get an Exo one done because he's like the main character to so many fans. I think
it'd be weird with the glass, the way the glass is on the helmet and the way it has a face. If it was more like Iron Man with the nothing but a full helmet, it might be easy to do. But
they could just give him his big goofy mustache, you know, just like accentuate it.
Beard hanging out. But so yeah, that was cool. We finally got that 1999 Todd McFarlane Toys action figure that we've asked for to be an affordable action figure. That's quality, and I'm pumped. I got two, one to play with like a little kid, and the other one to keep in the box, and send it to. I'm gonna send it to Kevin to get it signed by him too. So I think that'd be kind of cool.
I definitely want to try to get one that I can get signed by some people, and then maybe do as a giveaway. Because I'm always thinking like that. I love just giving stuff to people. So that one will take some time if I can pull it off, but. Just know that is a thought, you know, get one that I can get signed by a couple cool people, make it worth something to you guys. So
we got some cool things there, and then we also got that full image. I went to Rose City Comic Con, and they posted an image, and it had some redacted characters, and it looks like we got Dr. Tomorrow's logo, at least, in the top left corner of this picture. Really cool image. What did you guys think?
So I don't really know a lot about these characters, but I know a lot of people have been referencing Dr. Tomorrow based on the designs, and also I was talking about Mark Waid earlier and Irredeemable in that, but Mark Waid wrote a book for Acclaim Valiant called Stormbreaker or Stormbreakers?
Operation Stormbreaker.
Okay, boom, Operation Stormbreaker. It was something like that. But yeah, Mark Waid wrote that book, and I think my understanding is that's the first appearance of Dr. Tomorrow. And from some of the comments I've been seeing, people are saying that these characters look like those, like updated versions of those Operation Stormbreaker characters. So I'm totally down for Operation Stormbreaker. I think we've gotten... we've seen with things like Killers and PSI Lords that you can take new characters or quote-unquote side characters and make really awesome books about them. So if we can bring in some brand new characters and do that, I'm 100% down. The Visitor looks like it's going to be cool, and this looks like it could be cool as well. Obviously, we know very little about whatever it is, but those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, the first takeaway for me on this is that the costume does look like it's a good update. It looks very superhero-y, which is not a bad thing, because the Valiant universe, a lot of these characters aren't necessarily like superheroes. They're more like superhuman people that tend to side on the side of good, But I mean, really, like, they wouldn't call themselves superheroes. I don't think Exo Manowar is like, I'm a superhero. I'm gonna go stop the bad guys. He just, if a threat shows up, he just deals with it. But this does look like a very like superheroic action kind of thing. And if you look at the image, it looks like a big, wide cast of the Valiant universe is represented here, and some characters that we haven't seen for quite a while. If you look at this, it looks like the Red Legend might be in there, and maybe Savage, and I think Ivar's in there too. Or people. I mean, at least we think those are the people that are represented there. So it looks pretty cool. And if it's something where we do get some of these characters, I always bitch about this all the time, but these characters that have been on the shelf for so long, it's awesome. It does look a little cartoony. It looks a little bit more fun geared, but that's okay. We'll just see what the story is. It's hard to complain about any of this stuff when you don't know exactly what the meat and potatoes of the storytelling is. But it looks like it'll be fun.
And that too.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the fan bases in general right now. Where people just like one image, it's obviously gonna suck before it shoots.
I cannot.
I don't know. I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
And I can't confirm that I saw other images on it. So, but it does look very superhero. Don't really get hopes up to see everybody in there that's in there. But it's going to be another realm that we're going to see. So I'm for a little bit of new stuff. And speaking of new stuff, we also got something else that they sent us out. Let's see if we can get that pulled up. And that is the art quote from Valiant 2020. So it looks like we knew we were going to get a new EXO, but I think it's a little bit more set for March.
Yeah, that should keep some people happy, because I know some people were just wondering what had happened. It wasn't solicited, but a lot of the talk had been gearing around October, November. Well, we're in October. November's around the corner. We aren't going to be getting EXO back then, but it does look like it's something that could happen in the beginning of the year, which is great. And the thing that's really cool about this is if you think about some of these books that we have right now, and then some of these little teasers that they're putting out with the hashtag Valiant 2020, we really are starting to get a lot of the universe back together. Exo Manowar. We have another one that we'll be talking about in a minute, which classic characters, going back at least to the Acclaim days. Right now we have Bloodshot. We have Killers going on right now. Who knows where that's going to lead? We got Rise. So we're getting a lot of the familiar faces getting represented here. So obviously you can't go a very long time without Exo Manowar, and that's a good thing. So it's exciting. Don't know what to take from the preview, from that little blurb, but.
And then you were alluding to this. Quantum and Woody. So.
Yeah, I'm stoked for all of them to come back. I love the art style that it looks like we're gonna get for Quantum and Woody. I think that looks like it's gonna be awesome. I think that EXO has a lot of potential. We know that we can do really good EXO stories. I've heard positive things about that writer, Dennis Hallam, so hopefully that goes well. Having read that first Ashcan of Rye #1, that's really awesome. I personally loved Bloodshot #1, and we did actually get a Bloodshot #2 Ashcan, and having read that was just phenomenal to me. Like, that was the perfect follow-up to the first issue. So like, I feel like we're in a great place as far as having those new characters. We're getting a Livewire story wrapping up. I've loved Livewire having her own book. We're getting that Killers. We're getting PSI Lords. I think that we're getting these kind of side characters in a sense, because Livewire is not thought of as a main character in the universe, and neither are any of the, PSI Lord characters are all brand new, and Killers. So, we've got that piece handled with really good books, in my opinion, and we're getting really good ongoings with the more core established characters. So I feel like it's a best of both worlds situation right now. Maybe not everything is perfect, but it's pretty damn good anyway.
Yeah, one thought I have on this Quantum and Woody teaser, I'm not very familiar with Christopher Hastings, but Ryan Brown did curse words, with Charles Soule, and it was I didn't read all of it, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. He's got a cool art style, so I think that this is definitely going to be an exciting book. I think that Quantum and Woody is a bit of a hard sell with some of the fan base. It seems like no matter what Valiant's done, people just it doesn't click with people. It doesn't click with like the fan base. It seems to click with people outside the fan base, where it's kind of like the exact opposite of like everything else. It seems like, but I think the art looks awesome. I think I'm hoping it will be a good book. Based upon what I'm seeing from the image.
Oh yeah, and I love Ryan's work, and he's continued to do. It just fits perfect for Quantum and Woody. That's probably one of the best artists that could have been picked for it. So I'm for that Quantum and Woody right there coming out.
The only thing that would make me more excited about that Quantum and Woody news is if Elliot Rahal was writing it, but I'm sure they're not gonna throw him back on that book. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be amazing.
Nice, and I like who was it? Sean Hayes that said maybe the Bloodshot statue should have a removable hairpiece. That would be kind of cool.
It's a movie action figure, man. It should look like how he.
But it could double as a comic.
Maybe they can make a variant. Where's the variant? It's Todd McFarlane. I know there's got to be a variant figure in the works. Come on, get that other head out there, man.
Surprised it doesn't have a cape.
When's the last time that DC released a movie action figure with a character design well, I was going to say character design that's not in the movie, but I would say every time they always do that.
Well, I mean, they don't, but I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that they don't do a movie version and the comic book version. They might do, like, the unmasked version of a hero, maybe. Like, you might get Batman, and then, like, if you take back the other head is Bruce Wayne.
Well,
So,
like in the 90s,
I get what you're saying.
They would do, like, exaggerated versions. Like, there was, the Batman movie with Val Kilmer. I think he had a flame-proof suit on, so they made this, like, flame Batman figure that was all crazy and shit. But I just think I get the thought of like, oh, we want to see Bloodshot looking like we're used to him looking in the comics. But you got to remember that this isn't just for the existing fans. This is for Vin Diesel fans, and this is for potential new fans who could be coming into this because they see the trailer in front of the Terminator movie or whatever. So I mean, they don't want to confuse the marketing. And the brand that they're building, and the brand that they're building with this movie right now is a Bloodshot who looks a hell of a lot like a pale-skinned Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense with where they're going. And the thing is, to think about this too is, this is Valiant. This is like VEI's first action figure of sorts. I don't know if you'd really count those little mini-mates as action figures, but this is the full-fledged action figure. The thing that so many fans have been asking for so many years. And I just feel like if you're going to get it, you don't have to like it. But, man, I feel like a little bit of the critique has been just a bit picky. I understand if you don't like Vin Diesel, but we all knew it was going to be Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
It's just where they were going with this. And when you see all the marketing stuff that's going to be coming out for Bloodshot, it's going to be a lot of Vin Diesel. It's going to be a lot of bald
and
Bloodshot.
If hair is what's going to get you to not like the movie, I don't think you'd like it anyway. So, go look elsewhere.
Yeah, if Vin Diesel had a hairpiece, or if they did it digitally, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't think like you'd like it or you'd dislike it, regardless.
In the words of Taylor Swift,
I don't.
As long as he's got like the skin and the red dot, that's kind of like where I'm going. Like, I don't feel like the hair.
All I got to do is quote Taylor Swift right now.
I'm also bald, okay?
Exactly.
So fuck all you people with hair.
But haters are gonna hate, right? Got to quote some Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah. All you follicle supremacists.
It's going to happen. Well, let's talk a little bit more Bloodshot movie after the books. What do you say? Okay. Yeah. And we're going to talk about some books. So if you haven't read them, sorry, you're going to get spoiled.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
We got 2 books. I assume we should just talk about Livewire
Boom.
first. Does that sound good?
We can talk about some Livewire.
Yeah. Let's get it out of the way.
Yes.
So, okay. Here's the deal. Like, I think, like, okay. Is this book perfect? No. But I do think that it's better than it's getting credit for. I think that while, like, I know the art's being panned really hard by certain people, And I feel like, yeah, exactly. You, by you. I know neither of you are huge fans of the art in this book. But for me, like, is it my favorite? No, it's not. But I think that the style is solid. There might be a couple of panels here and there that aren't great, that look a little weird. But I think overall it's a really solid book. There are pages, there are panels that I think look really, really good. So the fact that there are also some panels that aren't that great is understandable. To be honest, I feel like they wanted to finish out through the issue 12, but they wanted to minimize costs, so they got an artist that was a little bit less expensive. So they didn't put Louis LaRosa on it, they didn't put Raul Allen on it, they didn't put Cafu on it, or Clayton Crane. But that's kind of understandable, you know? And I'm not saying that I want
But I'm still paying
art,
$4 a book,
but I don't
though.
think that... Yeah, but I mean, it's a matter of paying $4 for a book that exists, or not having a Livewire book and not having the story finish. And when they said it was going to go, 12 issues, they sold the pre-order. They couldn't stop.
One thing I'll say in defense of that is, I paid $4 a book. I at least got all these pages of art, unlike a Bloodshot book that I did not like.
Me too. Of course, that's where you.
Yep. Well, to me, that's the only time I've ever really felt like, hey, what the hell, Valiant? I'm paying $4. I'm buying all
for the
these
black
variants,
issue. Is that what you're talking about?
And there's one. Yeah, the black. You know the one. It's
a lot of ink, man.
Bloodshot Salvation. Which to me, I felt like, what the hell? Like, I'm buying all these books and there's no art. There's one page of art.
I mean, there was art.
I'm so glad to buy the advertisements because that's more visual than the story. But Jesus Christ, man!
Just because most of it was black doesn't mean that it wasn't.
A bunch of scribbles, man.
Let's go back to Livewire.
I mean, let's get back to this book.
That's why you can't bring that.
Oh man, there's a few things that just can't get going on if they are ever mentioned.
Yeah. Story-wise, yeah, I mean, like you said, this isn't the best thing. I think that this book started really strong, and it has kind of petered off a little bit. But it's still good, in my opinion. Like, it's not bad. Is it great? Is it perfect? No, it's not, but I still think it's really good. And I think that, we are getting this kind of... redemption of Amanda. We got Amanda's inner redemption toward the beginning of this title, and now we're getting her redemption in the public eye, and I think that that's a really good thing. We're not just seeing continuity reset so that the status quo gets reestablished. We're seeing a story that actually explains why. We got a story that explained why Amanda became an outlaw. Now we're getting a story explaining how she deals with that and how she's able to some degree, get the world to see her for who she truly is and who she's trying to be. And I think that that's an important story to be told for the character, and I think it's an important story to be told for the Valiant universe as a whole. So I'm glad that we're getting this book, and I would rather get it with less than perfect art than not.
But we're also getting some holes in the story, it feels like. We have Amanda who's blocking everybody's phone at this ball she's at, and then we also have Councilman Wright who's making phone calls with his assistant about what they're doing in the background, and she doesn't know that, but she can read everybody else's phones. It just seems like there's some weird little gaps in here. This was the better issue of the arc so far.
Yeah. And my thoughts on this, John and I talked a little bit about this before the show. Sorry, Eric. But yeah, I agree with that one where I think the action really helped this issue be the best issue of this storyline. I think overall my biggest problem with this, aside from art, I'm not going to beat the dead horse, but I feel like where the last arc ended with where Livewire was going to have to go, she was after this little girl that PRS took, or Omen, and she had all these conversations with herself about trying to get back with the secret weapons kids, and then it just jumps to this. And to me, I feel like they probably didn't plan on the book being ended at 12, so there's probably a storyline that's missing somewhere, Or maybe they thought that the book would carry on and they would just get to that a little bit later after this dude sues the government in defense of psyops, which I feel like is going to go nowhere. But that's just me. But I'm just not digging it, you know. And I was telling John earlier, I don't know if this is the kind of book where if the art was stronger, I could tolerate a little bit more of the story. But I do wish we were going in that direction of getting the Secret Weapon kids together, going after Omen, or whatever Omen's little group was that was in that last storyline. I thought that was just a little bit more interesting than this. But I will say one thing that Eric brought up, I do feel like the art was not quite as bad in this one. And I think a lot of it's just that the social settings within this play more to Tana Ford's art. They don't look that bad. And I think even looking at these preview pages on here, those moments don't bother me. But there's just so much about those the last 2 issues of just people sitting around doing jack shit that I just kind of thought, this is just not my thing. So...
Yeah, there were some pieces in here that like kind of threw me off as far as like the art not really matching the story. And if you look at the image that pops up every once in a while, and it's the splash spread where she's talking about how everybody's looking at her, and then you look at the piece of art and nobody's looking at her, just didn't really match up together. So like that image right there, that's that split page, and you can see, but yet they do have the smaller panels that kind of show people texting away. So that threw me off. And then there was the part where you have 2 people. You have Senator Wright or Senator McCoy, Councilman Wright, and they have Livewire calling, Councilman or Senator McCoy, Senator Wright. I mean, I know I'm messing it up, but that's part of the book where there's some little editorial gaps that are happening here and there. Just really makes me wonder if this is just they're throwing it in. What's going on here? So.
Yeah.
I think that kind of thing just happens. It happens at Marvel all the time. It happens at DC all the time. And it doesn't happen.
We're critical of that when it happens everywhere also too, though.
What's that?
It's okay. It's okay to be critical of those things when it happens because people are very critical about those when they happen at Marvel and DC. I mean, that's shit. If you say that like on a Valiant group that like a Marvel editor did something wrong or a DC one, that would be like their cry to like tell you that Valiant's so much better.
It's kind of like just say, oh, good enough for government work, and I don't know.
I'm not saying that like we should always have people calling characters by the wrong name in every book and it wouldn't be a big deal. I'm saying that it happened this one time and I'm not really that worried about it.
Yeah. I mean, my mom used to call me the wrong name all the time too, so I guess
it could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
I only have sisters and my mom still called me the wrong name.
So scores. What are our scores on this?
I'm 3.5. I think it's a solid 3.5. Oh.
It's middle of the road, man.
Right. Well, 2.
Let's see how this thing ends, man. Please end with a bang. Come on.
2.5 is an F, right? That's 50%. So I will give it a D. 2.75. It's kind of what we were given. D level work.
Oh, I wouldn't consider 2.5 an F. I mean,
50%.
To me, that would be like a 1.
So,
I guess. School, I didn't do very well in it.
The math stuff. And then I think we can go into the next one, which was a little Killers number 4. And it looks like KI 6 is what we got now, right?
So, Scott said brutal to our scores there, I think. And I do want to touch on that. Like, we actually in the past, when it was just Josh and I, quite a long time ago, we actually used to get crap for being overly positive, for being the positive Valiant podcast. That no matter what was wrong, we would always just make everything like super happy, whatever. And so I do think that we consciously or unconsciously, a little bit consciously, but also some probably unconsciously as well, have kind of taken that to heart and said, okay, are we overly nice? And I think in a lot of ways, no. But maybe sometimes it's a little, you don't want to say like something's bad, but I think that we owe it to ourselves to have some integrity, and we also owe it to other fans that want to know what's the best and what's not, because if we call every book a 5, then the books that are really 5s don't stand out. So we have to, have that level of honesty. Yeah. I don't know. Just something that I think about. I think that it's important to be positive when we can, but it's also important to be honest.
Yeah, I think a little bit for me too goes back to being a reviewer. I still write reviews for comic books. I try to be honest about the shit. I also really only write reviews of books I like. So I mean, for me personally, I probably wouldn't have written one for this issue of Livewire. I've been kind of lazy because I've been sick for the last couple of weeks. That's what my break's been like. So I haven't done much writing at all. But it's just for me though. I think sometimes, like nowadays, critics are kind of scrutinized because people are so rough on things. I don't think people are rough to be rough. I think that's just how people are with books, or with movies, or with anything. But
yeah,
I'd rather someone get mad at me and be like, "Hey, that book is a lot better than you think it is," and I will gladly have that discussion with anyone, open-minded, than just be like, "You like everything. Everything's great." And I mean, look, I'm a Valiant fan because I like all the books, Right. So if I don't like something, it's pretty rare.
And just because we don't like it doesn't necessarily mean like we're not the authority. And Eric and I have even argued like that's why I like it. Well, that's why I disliked it, and that's kind of the way things are going to be. And and Eric brought up a point. If you pull it up to another book, you open up a Life and Death of Toya Harada to what we're getting with this Livewire arc, and you call you say that's that high with that. I mean, you have to kind of do a little comparative to it. So,
yeah. So to get into Killers, to be kind of contrast, I'm gonna just assume that you guys loved Killers as much as I did, because I think it would be really difficult not to just absolutely fucking love that book. The KI6 thing, I took that as being like, I think we have
5 so far, so I think we're gonna get one more.
So okay, so maybe we'll get one more ninja involved. But I also took that as a play on MI6. I think it was just like a thing on one of the covers or whatever, or some of the covers, I don't know. But I took it as a play on MI6, KI6, like, because isn't MI6 like military intelligence, 6th division or whatever? Right. So it's like killer intelligence. I don't know. I took it as like a little just whatever joke or something like that, filler thing. But not really worried about it. What I am worried about is how fucking awesome this book is. Honestly, like, I got like 8-9 pages in and I was like, wow, so like I feel like this has been so dense and so much I've learned so much about this story and there's been so much reveal that it was like I must be at the end of the issue, and I'm surprised we didn't get the actual ninja characters. And then nope, I was only not even halfway through the issue, and then I got through the whole rest of it with all the ninja characters. So like, this book is so dense while also feeling like it's moving really quickly. So that's an extremely difficult thing to accomplish, and I think that is just a testament to not only how well it's written, because it has to be super well written for that to happen, but also how well it's drawn. The art pushes you through the story in a way that even the heavy dialogue panels don't feel like they're bogged down. Like, you read a Spawn issue that Todd McFarlane wrote, and it's like, oh man, you can't. It feels like you're just reading prose with some pictures for fun. Whereas this, even when there was that dense, big word balloons, it moved. I don't know, man. I'm really, really excited about this book. I think that this is turning out to be one of those things that's going to stand up there with some of my favorite stuff from Valiant, like The Valiant and Secret Weapons and Book of Death and stuff like that. Like, I think that this is rising up to that top tier of my favorite Valiant stories.
Dude, I have to give my hats off to whoever editor, or if it was B. Clay Moore, whoever had their hand in actually naming the ninjas, having blind spot, having sights. You know what I mean? I just dug that they actually. I don't know if they were listening to us, because I know we've talked about that. But being able to have some names with this, like Snapdragon, that was phenomenal. Say what you will about B. Clay Moore, and I am in loving what he's writing, man. This has been a great story. I was excited to read this one. This is the one I was most looking forward to of the 3 that we had this week. And I'm digging it. I'm hoping we get more. I think that KI6 has some more to be told to us down the road, that we may be a little clue that's right there within the cover, or within the trade dressing that they gave us there. And so I hope we get more. I'm hoping this story leads into some other news that happens after 5 is launched, and we have like a Fallen World Rye, and hopefully this comes out with a Killers Ninjak or KI6. So
Agreed.
Yeah, and I know, like, I've loved the art on this book, and this book had just a lot of cool stuff to look at too. Burning Monk looks so badass.
yes.
Yeah.
And Dagnino, I think that's how his name is pronounced. He has been an incredible artist on this series. The colors are just spectacular. All the characters look awesome. The writing is top notch. B. Claymore has done only 2 projects, I think, with Valiant. They've both been pretty good. But I like this a lot more than I like Savage.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's so much going on here. These characters are really awesome, and he's done such a good job of fleshing out these characters that were basically just mentioned before, like in Ninja K, or we may saw like a little glimpse of them. We didn't see very much of them, and they're awesome. And I think like this is one of those books that's just not getting enough talked about. It's just kind of going under the radar, I feel like, with fans, because they never hear anyone talking about it. So to me, it feels like a very underrated book. But it's very enjoyable. It's a ton of fun. And I kind of feel like it's going to have a great ending. And we need more of these characters, especially Ninja E. I want to see more of that guy. He's like Snake Eyes. So I want more of that dude.
And
The only problem with Ninja E is he has to be part of a team. But if we could get a team book out of this, if that's what KI6 becomes, like imagine if we had a KI. Oh, okay. So imagine if we had a team of 5 ninjas that we have so far with Ninjak. Like that would be the most amazing fucking thing ever. So that's my new dream now that I just came up with.
maybe they find Ninja J.
Yeah, or like Ninja
Or
L.
L, yeah. They bring him back from life.
I'm hoping it's Ninja M, and he's just some dude like on a farm matching grapes.
But to go with that, like I think to go with Josh and what you're saying, Eric, is if this had like a Ninjak in it, would it be getting more praise? Would it be getting more visibility? Would it be getting more? But would I actually like that? I don't know. I question that. Like, because I'm liking this story of these characters, and it's making you pay attention to these characters versus kind of making it a Colin King story.
I think if it was a Colin King story, that's the problem with it.
Right.
It would be Colin and then side characters. All of these characters are kind of a focal point. Whereas if you have Ninjak in it and he's the big character and he's the draw, everybody's going to be like, oh, I love this Ninjak book that's got these other characters in it. Whereas we're all talking about this and we're like, hey, all these characters are rad. You don't need Ninjak to carry this book. And I don't think if Valiant goes back and says, hey, be Claymore or whoever else they talk to, and they're like, hey, someone do a one-shot, someone do an annual or a mini-series, you don't need Ninjak to have these characters in it, because these characters can stand on their own. They're very interesting. They're very well thought out. That's just me.
So here's the point I think that Hoosier was kind of saying and that I agree with. I think that if Ninjak was in this book, it wouldn't necessarily make the book better, and I think there's a possibility it would actually make the book worse, but more people would be talking about it. Because we know that there are people in the groups who Ninjak is either their favorite Valiant character or one of, like their top 3 favorite Valiant characters. He's up there for me in probably my top 5 at least. So, I mean, I definitely get that if he was in the book, people would definitely be talking about it. Like it would be on the forefront of more conversations, but that wouldn't necessarily make the book any better, and like I said, could possibly make it worse. I just think that we got to figure out a way, to get more people to read this thing. And that's part of why I like talking about how much I love it, is that hopefully it comes across genuine enough, as genuine as it is, that people will pay a little more attention to it and maybe recommend it. But I don't know, man. Like, this is definitely a super solid book. Like you said, the art has been phenomenal. Fernando Dagnino is killing it. It reminds me of some other books that I've really enjoyed in the past, not necessarily Valiant stuff, but there's a Justin Jordan book he did for Vertigo called Savage Things, and this reminds me a lot of that. That was really, really good, and this is reminding me of that in the best way. So, the art has been super, super solid. It moves so well, like I was saying before. For me, I mean, I don't know where to come in at. I mean, this is bare minimum of 4.5, probably a 4.75.
I'm going to go 4.5 for me. One more thing I do want to point out about this book. For the most part, I love all the covers. I just don't really dig the Wills Portacio ones. But the John Boy Myers covers have been absolute fire. They're so awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be right there, probably 4.5, 4.75. I'll split the difference there. I dug it all the way around. This is a solid book, solid story. I'm digging the Jonin more as a villain. I think he's going to be an amazing big bad. I hope they continue working with that, because just him doing so much in the background, he's got his hands tied in within, especially the Ninjak world that we have here. That kind of gets me more excited to have a legitimate big bad that's in the world right there, on top of Roku and stuff like that for him, for Ninjak and that Killer's KI6, whatever you want to call it. So awesome book. And it looks like we got one more to go. Do some PSI Lords.
But the whole monk thing, the fact that we got the burning monk, because we've got, what was it, bleeding monk, and what's the other one?
Bleeding monk.
Undead monk, isn't it?
Undead. Okay. Yes. But I think those characters are really cool, and they're like, kind of like ominous. And having another one, I think the way that it was done didn't feel forced. I really like it, and I think that this is just. I think that's just another reason why people really need to be reading this book, because it's adding to the Valiant universe in a lot of ways. It's fleshing out these characters who could have been like the poor Armorines, who were really, really awesome and then just fell by the wayside. And that fortunately didn't happen to these characters who were kind of mentioned in passing. And now we're getting a full-fledged story from them. So, the fact that I think it better lead into B. Claymore doing some more stuff, because if it doesn't, I'll be really, really bummed. Anyway, sorry. To stop us from moving on to PSI Lords.
Bam. PSI Lords, number 5, brand new arc. Looked like a brand new artist at first, but it looks like just a little change in colors with Renato Guedes type. I think he's just changing his own colors. I don't think he got a new colorist. But it looks more comic traditional here.
Yeah. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Like, I know, Josh, earlier when we were talking about this, you had mentioned maybe it was like a time thing. And I don't know if that's the case, but if it is, I'm on board. Do it if this is the quicker way to do it, go for it. I thought it looked really, really good. There were a couple panels that I noticed where, like, it had that same kind of grainy texture in the background that his art normally has. Mm-hmm. And then the foreground characters would be more this new style. And I like this new style more. Like, having it contrasted right next to each other like that in certain panels made me definitely realize. But I will say, I got a couple pages into this, and I was like, hold on a second. Who's the artist on this? Because, it was definitely different. But, again, liked it a lot. The story here, man, this book is just balls to the wall insane, and I don't know how much more I can, how many ways I can say that, or what else there is to even say about this book.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, it's just all over the place. And to echo what you were saying, when we got on the chat before we started the episode, I was like, what happened with the art here? It's so different. But it looks really great. The colors are really vibrant, I think, and I think that helps it stand out. So one thing we had mentioned was, did he have to switch to this style because maybe it takes a lot longer for him to paint his more traditional way? But if that's the case, I think he's got a winning look here. It just looks really great. And one thing I also thought, and we don't talk a lot about this anymore, but I actually thought like the lettering on this looked really, really good too. Like, it just kind of helped stand out. Mm-hmm. Scion's black and yellow chat just looks really good with the pages. That stuff just doesn't get mentioned a whole lot. Also, one thing I really liked about this issue is that it did make mention of things that have happened in Exo Manowar.
Yes.
Like, they talk about Goran and the Earthman who was running that place and how he beat the shit out of the Monomen, which I think happened like in Exo Manowar 8 under Kent's run, or that second trade, whatever it was. But he whooped their ass. So it was kind of nice to see a book tie back into the Valiant universe. We don't get a lot of that. It seems like a lot of the books have just been so standalone, which can be good, can be bad. But it was one of those things where when I was reading it, I thought, that's awesome. I like that. I like that little hint that there's a world outside of this book. So
Yeah.
cool
I would say, like, if I was looking, like, the story was great. I do like the monolith and the monoman that they brought in, and they talked about Earth in that same URTH that they were doing during Exo Manowar. The story really moved, and I like the hints of continuity within it. That always makes it excited. That's why we read a shared universe to some point, to some degree. And yeah, again, Gredis' art was killer. I think the only thing I could say a hiccup is sometimes I get frustrated with his characters don't emote quite that much. I felt like I forget his name, the Asian gentleman. I feel like he's always got that same smirk on his face, like all the time. But maybe he always has that same.
No matter what's happening.
And so that would probably be my only thing is just the there's not enough the emoting is not happening within the characters.
So I want to say Sean just put it really, really well. He said PSI Lords is still picking up. It's still picking up speed. It's confusing yet engaging. I totally agree, because every time we think we have a handle on what's going on, something happens in the next issue that we're just like, oh my god, or like by the end of the issue, something will happen. I'll just be like, what in the fuck is happening now? So like this whole thing with Scion getting brought back and treated just with no respect whatsoever. I absolutely loved that. I thought that was amazing. Like how he's like, you gotta call me Scion. Don't call me by my slave name. Like, shut up, Steve.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
One of the things from our chat, I guess, I'm trying to think who said, Scott Bloom, I think, was mentioning the dialogue, the banter. And I agree. I think some of the characters do come off really funny. The dude with the glasses, I can't remember his name. That's Tank, yeah. Like, he's a funny character. I also like when he's like, his thing about how he explained that he thinks he's gay, I thought was kind of humorous. I thought that whole exchange was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, like, and to me, this book really felt like a Fred Van Lente book, because Fred has a great way of injecting humor and pushing the story. Whether everybody likes that style or not, that's cool. But I do like Fred's work a lot. This book just did finally feel like Fred's work, so it was a good issue.
Yep.
Yeah. I loved that moment when Tank was like, oh, it's kind of hard to tell with the amnesia, but yeah, that whole exchange was absolutely hilarious. But I think that's been the case this whole book. I mean, think like the moment in that, I don't know if it was issue like 2 or 3 when the Astro Friends thing first happened, like that
just
was
stuck around the whole time.
Better than the freebooters.
And they're still they're freebooters. It's always better than Astro Friends. It's not like. The whole man. More. Like, this is a perfectly written mystery, in my opinion, because it has the humor and the character and the teases of answers that keep you coming back and
yeah. I think that's a really good point, because like a lot of times when a book is confusing and you don't enjoy it, you're just like, I'm done. But at least this book, like, it has confusing things. We can't have everything spelled out right away, but I like that. But it does have good humor. It has some really good action. The art's awesome. I don't know. Honestly, I might like Renato Gaitis' art more in how it is in this issue than in the previous issues, and I was a big fan before. So
I like it more now, for sure.
Yeah, it's just really cool.
I know he had done
change up.
I know he had done other books before the Divinity Zero issue, which was his that one was great. That colored painted art on that issue was awesome on Divinity Zero. And then he kept with it.
The Bloodshot, he did like a Bloodshot annual or Bloodshot,
and I think that one didn't fit that well.
He did something.
I think that one didn't fit that well, but this one is great. I enjoyed what happened. It fit the story better than his other style, and I think that's probably more so the part of it is it's fitting this space opera that we're getting, which is cool. And yeah, I like that it's giving us a little bit of answers each time. It's not like say spoon feeding us the story, but yet kind of giving us a little bit each time. So I'm in for that, and I've always, I've liked Fred's work. I know Gen Zero was hit or miss for some people, but his Time Walker was great. His Archer and Armstrong I loved, and then the Delinquents, that was great. So yeah, and then War Mother was kind of, it was okay. But yeah, you guys want to score this one up?
So, yeah, man. I mean, I think the writing is so solid. There are a couple of issues with the art. I've always thought, um, and part of why I like this style that Gatiss is doing now better is that I've always thought that his art kind of fell into the uncanny valley. It looks CGI, and it's like very close to looking like real people, but just far enough away to be like kind of weird and creepy almost. So that's kind of always been my issue with his art. And I think that taking it in this slightly more cartoony, comic booky direction really helps that. But like you said, Hoosier, I think that emotion is one of the things that his art really lacks. The characters are very deadpan all the time. Like, I definitely would agree with that. But there is also at the same time like a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of action. I don't know. Great book. I'm going to go with a 4.25. I don't think it's quite as good as that Killers issue that we just reviewed, but I think it is a really solid book and definitely something that I would recommend people picking up. I'm pretty sure the first trade's coming out very shortly, and I would say jump on as soon as possible because I think that, you know, when we get to issue 12, we're going to look back in this as something special.
Yeah, I'm going to probably go just a little lower. I'm going to go with the 4. It's still really good stuff. It is just a bit confusing. Ronaldo Gaddis's art switch up looks awesome. I thought someone new was just coloring it, but no, it's just all him. He's rad. And good humor. Keep it up, man.
Yep. I'm going to be right there with Josh. I'm going with a 4 on this one. I enjoyed the story, enjoyed what it's getting, and like we've all basically telling you guys the exact same thing you've already said. It's a 4. I just wish that Guetta's art would emote a little bit more, but outside of that, I really it's a 4. I liked it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And hopefully everybody's got their chat working. I know somebody in the chat said the chat was working, but we're still live on the chat. We're seeing what you guys are putting in there. So, and
yeah,
it's been
shouting into the void.
Yeah, we've had quite a few people in the chat though. It's been a fun night.
So
yeah, absolutely. It's great to get that engagement.
I had mentioned let's talk Bloodshot at the end, but 5 days, and we get trailer.
Ooh, Monday.
Oh man, we have got to figure out a way to do a special episode where we do like a reaction video to the trailer, like play it on one side, our jaws dropped on the other, if that's what happens. You know,
I've already like got it planned out in my head how like as soon as on Monday there is no way that I'm not going to be constantly checking to see if something's uploaded, and if something is, I'm gonna have to excuse myself and take a quick break and watch it on my phone and probably lose my mind. So I'm freaking out.
I'm calling in
a little bit internally. This is like huge if it happens, but at the same time, I'm not getting my hopes up too high because like we had a different countdown for the 18th when it was supposed to be released, and then that stopped, and then we got told it was going to happen another time, and this feels a lot like what happened with Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe when that kept getting like, oh, they had a countdown, and then
don't say it.
So like, I feel like I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't drop on Monday, but if it does, I'm going to lose my shit.
Oh man, I remember we were doing an episode because we always do them on Thursdays back when Ninjak Versus came out, or right when we were waiting for it to come out. And Eric and I were like, we can't wait to talk about this next week on next week's episode. And that Monday, it was just like, sorry, can't do it, not going to happen. And it was just like, what a bunch of shit, man. We were waiting for so long on that, and I feel like the hype on that one might have been a little bit worse because it wasn't from a major studio. It didn't have big name actors in it. But we were starting getting these little vignette clips of each of the people that were in it as the main characters, saying like 4 days we're gonna have the trailer. Here's Exo Manowar, and then here's Bloodshot, and all this stuff. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. I feel like with this at least, like it's not just gonna get scrapped. I feel like if it was, Dinesh would have been like, I'm out. I'm not gonna be doing this countdown. He knows. So I mean, it'll be a fun. It could possibly be a very fun episode next week for all of us. Just because we're all such big Bloodshot fans, it's really exciting to finally be there. And I think also there's going to be a lot of tie-ins and things like that. It's going to be cool to see Bloodshot, not just on like TV, but like just how they promote this movie, and just start seeing white pale-faced Vin Diesel everywhere shooting guns or whatever it is, or see that logo for Bloodshot on, something, or hear someone talk about.
They're talking about having the scene where the big thing injects into his chest, like in the trailer and stuff. Like, man, like if we get to see that stuff and that is like going around and.
Yes, please.
One thing I want to talk about real quick before we get off this episode, because I know we're getting toward the end. I want to give a shout out to John Hoosier, because I think the way that our episode is looking right now, with kind of like a grayed out, metalled out looking covers and the little Get Valiant logo with Bloodshot, I think it looks really good. And I know that sometimes we don't give a lot of internal thanks on this show, but it looks awesome, man.
Thanks,
way to go.
Just try to make it look pretty, because I mean, we know our faces are only so pretty, so we got to do some more work.
Got some limitations to work around.
Well, I can't speak for the rest of you dogs, but I mean, I do have some good looks here.
That's it. And then next week we're gonna have a little Dr. Mirage number 3.
All right. So that probably works out, because I think we're gonna probably spend about 45 minutes talking about the Bloodshot.
I think it's good that we only got one book. So I might have to change that thumbnail if something. I probably will change it, because we're gonna want to talk about that, I'm sure.
So I'm just warning you guys. Like, when that trailer drops, I'm gonna watch it 80 billion times, and we're gonna have to talk about frame by.
Next week on this episode, where he's just like,
it's gonna be the single.
He's just like he can't even get any words out. He's just like so
single
emotional.
tear.
His baby is finally born. He's just like, oh, good. I'm excited for it.
That's Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel.
It's gonna be great, guys. It's gonna be great. Okay. Everybody jumped on the chat. Thank you guys, man. You guys are awesome. So.
Yeah, Scott, Ryan, John definitely hangs out with us a lot, and it's cool to see some of the people, hanging out regularly and chatting about the books with us. I think that our conversations, our interactions between the three of us on the episodes on the show, I think that they are enriched by the fact that we have people in the comments, adding their thoughts and giving us different perspectives. And Sean, a lot of times will put things in a way that really helps me clarify what I'm trying to say about it. And I think that, same thing with Scott and Ryan, have good insights, and it's always nice to have the people. So just want to say thanks to everybody. And also, if you're watching or listening after the fact, we appreciate that as well, and definitely welcome comments.
It's just still me on the Twitter. John still uses his Hoodoo one. He's still got Hoodoo run.
Okay, there you go. But yeah, so I mean, Josh is on Twitter with the Get Valiant, at the Get Valiant. Is that what it is?
At the Get Valiant.
The Get Valiant. Yeah, and to plug something real quick, right now I have undertaken a task of going through my entire Valiant collection to get things organized. I'm sitting at about 23 short boxes. So it's. I did it on my personal account, but I did retweet it to Get Valiant. So if you want to see some cool stuff, you want to interact and be like, hey, those books are stupid, or oh shit, that looks awesome, fucking throw a comment on there, man. It's been fun. It's just fun to dig through books. Sadly, I don't have that kind of life anymore where I have friends that can just look at stuff with me, but it's pretty awesome.
And I think Scott was on the live chat, and he talked about Bloodshot being at his local theater. So I just got to say, if all of a sudden we don't have an episode, it might be because I got arrested from stealing the cardboard display at the theater. Because when that thing's out, dude, I'm going to be grabbing it and running. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I need one. Or hopefully...
I hope it's one of the ones that are interactive where you can put like your head through it, like it's like something cool.
Oh, yeah.
You can be Bloodshot.
That would be awesome.
I hope that they get like one of those big ass posters, and I can just be like, hey, when the movie is done, give me that fucking poster.
Man, I just hope for a cool movie poster. And I think I don't want it to look like the Marvel ones. And I don't have anything against Marvel, but all their posters kind of look the same, just dudes all looking in one direction. I hope the one for Bloodshot's a little bit more exciting. Just maybe him just
like comic
popping
book
some
covers.
bullets out. Yeah.
There's so
Just
many
make 'em look
badass
cool.
comic covers to choose from. There's no way that they won't. You have to be able to make a badass. I mean, I guess you could say that about the Marvel characters too, but Bloodshot's more awesome.
Yeah, like an 80s throwback cover, man. That'd be pretty awesome. So, but yeah, either way, they could be any of it. I'm excited for it, so I'm ready. Ready. So,
Give it to me now.
so let's get in and, yeah, if guys, make sure you subscribe. I know all you guys who are on the chat have subscribed, but if you watch later, make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all the good stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think Josh's phone died or something, so he just dropped out of the episode, but I think we're wrapping up anyway. And just want to say thanks again to everybody watching, listening. This has been Get Valiant episode like 135 or something. So signing off, I'm Eric
This was
Baumgart.
Josh Rathburn, and I'm John Hoosier. Thanks for watching. Get Valiant. Stay Valiant.
See ya.